On November 24, 2025, a federal judge delivered a stunning rebuke to the executive branch, issuing a decision that would reverberate far beyond the courtroom walls. In a dramatic turn, the judge dismissed all criminal charges against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James, ending a prosecution that had gripped the nation for months. The reason behind this extraordinary move? The lead prosecutor, Lindsey Halligan, a personal lawyer to President Trump, had been unlawfully appointed, rendering every action she took in the case legally void and without authority. The judge's ruling has sent shockwaves through Washington, D.C., igniting fierce debate and raising urgent questions about the separation of powers, the independence of the judiciary, and the very integrity of our justice system. Halligan's appointment was widely viewed as a calculated maneuver to install a loyalist in a critical prosecutorial role, bypassing experienced career prosecutors who had refused to pursue cases seen as politically motivated or lacking in merit. The indictments against Comey and James were seen by many as the culmination of years of mounting pressure from the White House to target political adversaries, raising concerns about the weaponization of the justice system for partisan gain. Their dismissal now stands as a powerful affirmation of the rule of law, a reminder that legal process must prevail over political will, and that justice cannot be bent to serve the interests of those in power. The case of Lindsey Halligan forces us to confront just how fragile the ideal of impartial justice can be, and challenges us to consider what it truly takes to protect and preserve it for future generations. Lindsey Halligan's appointment as a federal prosecutor was not just unusual, it was illegal. After the administration grew frustrated with the existing U.S. Attorney, Eric Siebert, who resisted political pressure, Attorney General Pam Bondi fired him and installed Halligan. Federal law allows the Attorney General to appoint an interim U.S. attorney for 120 days. After that, only the district court can reappoint. The court had already reappointed Siebert, but the administration ignored this, claiming the Attorney General could make repeated interim appointments. Judge Currie's ruling made clear this was a blatant attempt to bypass the Senate confirmation process and install a loyalist. The law was designed to prevent exactly this kind of executive overreach. By sidestepping the process, the administration tried to create a shadow justice system where loyalty trumped independence. The court's decision affirmed that this was not a clever loophole, but a flagrant violation of the law. The Senate's role in confirming U.S. attorneys is a crucial safeguard for our democracy. Lindsey Halligan was a deeply unconventional choice for U.S. attorney. Her selection raised eyebrows across the legal community, as she was virtually unknown in prosecutorial circles and had never held a government position of this magnitude. Known primarily as a personal lawyer for Donald Trump and a vocal defender of his interests, Halligan's professional background was rooted in insurance law, not in criminal prosecution or federal litigation. She had built her career handling civil disputes and insurance claims, not pursuing criminal charges or navigating the complexities of federal law enforcement. She had never tried a criminal case or worked for the Department of Justice, and had no experience with the kind of high-stakes investigations that define the role of a U.S. attorney. Her appointment signaled a prioritization of loyalty over qualification, suggesting that her allegiance to the president outweighed her lack of relevant experience. Upon taking office, Halligan moved quickly to secure indictments against Comey and James, bypassing the seasoned career prosecutors who had previously refused to bring charges due to insufficient evidence. She personally presented the cases to grand juries and signed the indictments herself, an unusual move that underscored the political nature of her mission and her willingness to take direct control, rather than rely on the expertise of her staff. Reports revealed that career staff had thoroughly reviewed the evidence and declined to prosecute, citing lack of merit and warning that the cases would not stand up in court. Halligan's actions demonstrated a clear alignment with the president's agenda, confirming widespread fears that her appointment was about retribution, not justice, and that the legal process was being manipulated for political gain. Her lack of prosecutorial experience was not an oversight, it was likely intentional, ensuring she would follow orders without pushback or independent judgment, and making her a reliable instrument for the administration's objectives. The result: a justice system weaponized for political ends, where the rule of law was overshadowed by personal loyalty and partisan interests. Within days of her appointment, Halligan began prosecuting Trump's political adversaries. She secured a 2-count indictment against James Comey for alleged perjury, just before the statute of limitations expired. despite career prosecutors repeatedly declining to move forward. The charges were widely seen as political revenge, not legitimate legal action. Comey and his team denounced the indictment as a desperate attempt to silence a critic. Halligan then indicted Letitia James for alleged bank fraud, just as James was investigating the Trump Organization. Both Comey and James condemned the charges as politically motivated shams. These indictments marked a dangerous escalation. The Justice Department's power aimed squarely at the president's opponents. The affair reached its dramatic conclusion in the courtroom of Judge Cameron McGowan Currie, a respected figure known for her unwavering commitment to the rule of law and the integrity of the judicial process. In a decisive move, she dismissed the indictments against Comey and James, bringing the high-profile case to an abrupt halt. Her ruling was not a judgment on the guilt or innocence of the accused, but rather a careful examination of whether Halligan had the legal authority to bring charges in the first place. The answer, Judge Currie found, was unequivocally no. Halligan's appointment was unlawful, rendering every action she took in the case completely void and without legal effect. According to federal law, the Attorney General is permitted a single 120-day interim appointment to fill a vacancy in the prosecutor's office. After that period expires, only the court itself has the authority to appoint a replacement, ensuring a crucial check on executive power. The administration's abrupt firing of Siebert, the previous officeholder, and the swift installation of Halligan in her place, was a clear attempt to bypass the court's authority and sidestep the Senate confirmation process. Judge Currie did not mince words, condemning these actions as a dangerous and deliberate overreach of executive power. Her ruling stands as a landmark defense of the separation of powers, a foundational principle of American democracy, and affirms that the president cannot simply ignore the law to install loyalists in key positions of power. The judiciary, Judge Currie made clear, has a solemn duty to police the boundaries of executive authority. By nullifying Halligan's actions, the court sent a powerful and unmistakable message that the rule of law must always prevail over political convenience or expediency, no matter how high the stakes. This was not just a personal victory for Comey and James, who walked free after months of uncertainty, but a crucial reinforcement of the legal guardrails that protect the independence and fairness of our justice system for all Americans. The court's decision sparked swift, polarized reactions. James Comey expressed relief and concern, calling the prosecution an act of malevolence and incompetence. He warned that using the Justice Department to target political enemies is corrosive to democracy. Letitia James called the charges a sham and a failed attempt to obstruct her investigation into the Trump Organization. The Trump administration responded with defiance, calling the ruling deeply flawed and vowing to appeal. President Trump praised Attorney General Bondi for bringing charges, framing it as fulfilling his promise to clean up the swamp. For critics, the ruling was a vindication, a moment when the legal system checked executive abuse. For supporters, it was seen as judicial bias thwarting a duly elected president. The Halligan scandal remains a political flashpoint, regardless of the final outcome. With the indictments dismissed, can the Justice Department try again? Judge Currie dismissed the cases without prejudice, meaning charges could be refiled, but only by a lawfully appointed U.S. attorney. For Comey, the statute of limitations may have already expired, making a new prosecution unlikely. The Justice Department argues a 6-month grace period could apply, but legal experts doubt it would hold given Halligan's unlawful appointment. For Letitia James, the statute of limitations is less pressing, but the political risks are enormous. Any new prosecutor would face intense scrutiny and likely refuse to pursue such a toxic case. The administration has announced plans to appeal, but most experts believe the appeal will fail. For now, Comey and James are free, but the fight over prosecutorial independence continues. The legal battle is far from over. Halligan's disqualification could upend every case she touched as interim U.S. attorney. Defendants now have grounds to challenge their indictments, creating a potential cascade of legal challenges. One high-profile case, against Mohammed Sharifullah, a suspect in the Kabul airport bombing, is already threatened. His defense argues that Halligan's unlawful appointment invalidates the indictment. The administration used similar appointment tactics in other districts, and challenges are underway nationwide. Judge Currie's ruling sets a powerful precedent. If other courts follow, multiple U.S. attorneys could be disqualified, jeopardizing hundreds of cases. The core legal question, can the executive bypass the Senate with repeated interim appointments, may reach the Supreme Court. The Halligan scandal is a test case that could reshape the legal landscape for years to come. The Halligan scandal is a critical moment for American democracy. It exposed a vulnerability in our system, but the judiciary's response showed resilience. Judge Currie's ruling was a forceful defense of the rule of law over political loyalty. The power to prosecute must be wielded impartially. When it's used for political ends, it corrodes public trust. The law's appointment process exists to prevent such abuse, ensuring prosecutors are vetted and independent. The dismissal of the indictments is a victory for the principle that no one is above the law, not even the president. The Halligan case will be studied as a textbook example of executive overreach and the judiciary's vital role in checking it. While the administration plans to appeal, the ruling stands as a bulwark for justice and a system worth defending.